We are all spending so much more time at home nowadays, and with that comes a lot more home cooking. When you look for recipes on the internet, a lot of the times we're looking for more intricate dishes, things that are using ingredients that we don't usually maybe have in our pantries, and things that are just complicated in a way that it'll take too long. On my day-to-day when I'm eating at home, I'm actually looking for meals I can do in 10 or 15 minutes that are not too complicated. And that's what the recipes today are about. It's about using what you have available in your pantry and just putting it together. And there is zero judgment happening here. These are really delicious dishes, but they're really easy to make and quote-unquote instant. So these are perfect when you have some leftover steak or that lonely piece of steak that you weren't able to cook left in the fridge. So the first one I'm gonna show you how to make is Chapaguri, which is basically a Korean dish that mixes two different instant noodles together. It was popularized by the movie Parasite, where the translator who wrote the subtitles in English called it Ramdon. It is quite a traditional dish, if you will, of basically using udon noodles and ramen noodles, both instant with flavorings already, and mixing them together. But in Parasite, because the whole movie is kind of about the social structure and the struggles between the poor and the rich, when the main actress calls in and asks for Ramdon, she asks for it to be topped with some really premium, expensive Hanu Korean beef, which if you haven't seen the movie yet, it really just is full of that class struggle, which is quite interesting. I could talk about it all day. So I don't have the chapaghetti and neoguri, which usually make the dish. I'm just gonna make it my way of using a very simple, spicy chili ramen, and then with some ribeye that I have, and adding very simple ingredients just to kind of make it just even more delicious. Start with your favorite pack of ramen, boil some water, and then cook the noodles according to the instructions on the back. Could not get simpler than that. In a hot pan, I'm gonna heat up some oil, fry up some garlic and red onions until all of this is really fragrant. To this, we will add medium rare, cubed up Balzico beef ribeye, some sesame oil, and black pepper. This, like I said a while ago, was a steak that was cooked yesterday. We don't want to cook this too long, as you don't want it to get tough. We're really just looking for the vegetables to get fragrant and for the meat to suck up all that flavor. For a little kick, I'm gonna add in some miso paste and a packet of chili oil that came with the ramen. Now we're gonna take out the beef and then add the noodles and some of the cooking water. The starch in the cooking water has some flavor, I find, but it will also just make it a nice saucier texture. Now it really comes down to how salty you like your food, but if I were you, I'd taste it at this point so you can decide how much of that flavor packet you want to add to the noodles. I only used half of one because it had already such intense flavor. Mix everything until everything sounds squishy. You know that squishy sound that instant noodles make? Yeah, I think you can picture it. The beef can go back in right before serving, and we're gonna add in some fresh scallions and some sesame seeds, just for a little bit of texture. For our next dish, I'm a meat and potato guy myself, but sometimes it doesn't make sense that your steak will take 5 minutes to cook, but your potatoes will take 20 minutes to an hour to finish. In our household, we'll always have a rice somewhere in a rice cooker that's ready to go. So it makes sense for me to replace the potato with rice and make some steak fried rice with it. For our steak rice, take your favorite steak pan out, heat it up, and then add in some neutral oil like canola or grapeseed. When the oil starts splattering, add your steak until nicely browned on all sides and cook to about medium rare. But again, this is up to you. I went for 3 minutes on one side and then 2 minutes on the other side. For that extra oomph of flavor, and you want this to really be in your rice, just make your day better and add in some butter.
Take your steak out and just let that rest for 5 minutes before cutting into it. In the pan, we're gonna add in some onions, scallions, and garlic. We're gonna cook this down for about 3 minutes. This is really just gonna build all the flavor and grab all the fat that was rendered off from the steak. For a little bit of seasoning, my personal favorite trio, some fish sauce, oyster sauce, and soy sauce. We're then gonna add some day-old rice. Day-old rice is always gonna be the best for fried rice, and all this gets mixed. When you figure that most of the sauce and the oils that are in the pan have really coated every single grain of rice, then just make a really quick well in the center and scrambled in 2 eggs. For some freshness, we're also going to add some green scallions and flat leaf parsley. Now we can cut up the steak and add it to the rice with some togarashi if you want something a bit more chili, and some black pepper.
What dreams are made of. Beautifully cooked steak, very simple ingredients, and some fried rice. So good. And I love keeping those scallions nice and crunchy. Makes all the difference. Brings a little bit of zing and a little bit of freshness to the whole thing.